from when I was younger, I've always thought about having a big fat Indian wedding. As a girl, you picture your wedding day and you think like, this is how it's going to be. Hi, I'm Komal. I met my partner Andy. We met through work. So we got engaged December 2018. So then we started thinking about what kind of wedding we want, which is quite hard. So obviously we're from different cultures. My family are Jain. I think even from when I was younger, I've always thought about having a big fat Indian wedding. Andy's family and his family are from the north. The concept of an Indian wedding is quite a lot for anyone to take on. Even for us as Indian people, it's actually quite overwhelming. We don't want to make it like it was my wedding that he was being invited to. The point was it has to be a day, the two of us, which represents the two of us and where we're both from, and everyone needs to feel comfortable, both my family and his family. We decided on having about a 100-person wedding, and based on that we were looking at venues that would work for that. This is around April 2019 we were looking around. We then decided to have an Indian ceremony followed by an evening reception, and we found this really lovely manor house in towards Buckinghamshire, and we chose the date October 3rd, mainly because keeping it out of the peak summer season but also autumnal vibes is just something that I find very rich. And like, I've been to some really nice weddings in autumn, and I think the colours are just really lovely, and it can make a really just like some really nice tones for the wedding. So our plan was to have the Indian ceremony on 3rd of October, but end of August, our plan was to get, we always had to get legally married somewhere, because the Indian ceremony wouldn't count. That plan actually evolved really nicely because Andy's mum suggested, oh, why don't you get married in the church near theirs? This church is actually where Andy's parents got married. February this year, I went on a trip to India with my parents, and we had 10 days in India to basically blitz out wedding shopping. So we were going to get Andy's outfit, my parents' outfits, and then I said Andy's part of a big family, so he's got 5 siblings. Some have partners, 2 of them have children, so suddenly the Andy Morby contingent, it's quite a big group of people, and you don't want to get some people outfits and then not all of them and that kind of stuff. So we spent a lot of time shopping for their family as well. So my executive decision, it was quite nice just to choose what I think people would look nice in and what I think they would like. I have 5 bridesmaids, like different cultures. So we got bridesmaids outfits for them out of there as well. We basically made them from scratch, and so it was just so nice to go from picking the material to then seeing it as a skirt to then seeing the blouse to it. And I was just constantly like sending WhatsApps and photos to people back home to be like, "Would you like this? This is what I got." And every so often I'd send Andy a message being like, "Do you want a long sherwani or do you want a short sherwani?" And obviously he doesn't really know. Like, he's like, "Whatever, like you choose." So it was nice just trying to picture him in it. And actually a lot of the time I just asked my dad to try it on so that I could visualize what it would look like on. So it was nice to see my dad dressed up as a groom. I'm sure my dad got bored, but it was just a great, productive and enjoyable 10 days of just getting loads of things. So at the end of February we got back. That's when I felt, right, wedding countdown is on. About 6 weeks later maybe was when everything kind of turned upside down. August was approaching and October was approaching. It basically just got incredibly stressful. How long can you wait and see? I'd say between like July and August, just really, really like up and down. I think during the month of August, I basically probably had like a cry a day. What was quite nice is to feel like to support each other during the time that was quite stressful. So him seeing me with my cry a day and being able to put up with it and make me feel better was actually a really nice experience. I can't remember the date when it was that we decided, look, October isn't happening, because also we then had to start conversations with like the different suppliers, and you're trying to broach it to be like, if we were to cancel, what would you do? And then you start after doing this research, which I never imagined I would have to do, because you sign all these contracts being like, yeah, it's fine, there's a force majeure clause, and you never think that it's something that you'd have to apply to your wedding. We had wedding insurance as well, but you just think it's such a far removed thing that you'd have to cancel a wedding for a pandemic. Coming across the realization that actually I wasn't going to have an Indian ceremony, I remember there was a time where it just really hit me, and it just made me feel really sad, because Indian ceremony it's so meaningful. It really talks about how you're taking your steps together, not only as a couple but with your families, and I think all of that is just so important to the both of us, and that's why I thought the Indian ceremony was so fitting as well. And it's not, it's not overly about worshipping God and things like that. Actually, it's just very much about the people and the values. So I think realising that I wasn't having an Indian wedding was something that became quite tough, and the outfits and all of the, as a girl, you picture your wedding day and you think like, this is how it's going to be. And I remember saying to Andy, I was like, oh, can't we just focus on August wedding and we'll just decide about the October wedding later? But he was like, no, like you need to decide, because then also I think once we decided that October wasn't happening, it made us then realise how important August was. So we weren't sure if our church would open in time for the wedding, and we needed to get our banns read, which is basically like notice of marriage. Your ban is basically like an announcement in church where they say, Komal and Andy are getting married on this date, are there any objections? And that needs to be done 3 Sundays in a row. And it was getting to a point of like August, and I was like, oh, well, the church needs to open because I need there to be 3 Sundays before my wedding day. But luckily that worked out. We started to have a couple of like Zoom calls with the vicar, and she talked us through all of the vows and like what it means. She just made us realise, think about what that means to you, whether that you're going to like cherish someone and you're going to protect them, what you're going to protect them from. And I just thought it was really nice. And I think you can probably gather I'm quite a sentimental person, so I just enjoyed that whole process of putting like the feeling behind it. I wore a white jump dress with some gold heels. I wore some gold earrings that my grandma had given me. I did my own hair, and one of my friends did my makeup, which was amazing. When they started to say to include some of the interfaith stuff in the wedding, we then incorporated some elements of the Indian ceremony into the church, which was really nice. So my mum read out a prayer in Sanskrit and a letter from my grandparents, which was really lovely. We bought this Mangal Sutra when I was in India as well. And so in the church ceremony, there was a moment when my mum said, okay, now Andy's going to tie this around on Komal. And so that was a nice thing to do in the wedding as well. The Mangal Sutra, as I understand it, is a necklace which is made of some special black beads, but it's basically the equivalent to a wedding ring. My grandparents, they live in South London, and with restrictions they couldn't come. I would have loved them to have been there. The week before, me and Andy went round to see them, and they basically did like a little Indian ceremony for us. My nanny, she put on her like a sari veil over her head. They put little chandeliers on me and Andy, and then they, like the in the Indian weddings, like the tie, that they put that around the two of us. And so actually it felt like we had a little like a mini Indian ceremony before the wedding as well. That was really, really special. I feel married now. I feel like we've had something. It might feel a bit forced if we then just try and recreate it. And actually, like, the wedding that we ended up having was so, I kind of wish that we had it all along.